Okay, good day, guys. Today we're here again with Wesley Figueroa because you guys asked for it. Um, but today, the last time we were together, we spoke about line breeding. Wesley gave us a
Yeah.
lot of knowledge about line breeding. So today, I wanted to cover how to effectively outcross. And like I said before, Wes is an encyclopedia when it comes to these kinds of things. So you guys want to definitely pay attention and take notes. So as we start talking about outcrossing from what we continued on line breeding, what is the best way to do that?
Well, um, there is not right now a best way of actually doing. I think, and this is coming from a lot of breeders that do their things to include other species when they breed with birds and also breed with cattle. When you're breeding with birds, you're able to manipulate things a little bit more because of the consistency that you are able to create other animals. But when you're dealing like with dogs, you don't have the same options that you have when you're dealing with birds and also with cattle. I mean, you're only gonna get one. You better know what you're doing when you are
Mhm.
opening up to something else because then it is right. It is and then again, Noah, it all depends with the breed, and it all depends with the line, because some bloodlines will not hold a line breeding as much as others will. So it will depend when how that line and that specific animal reacts to outcrossing to that you will be able to predict or start learning of how many generations will would you be able to focus in line breeding to get the traits that you want, and then how many generations will you have to outcross. It will depend just also not just in the species, not just in the breed. It will also depend on the bloodline that you're using. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of something, because you will have to know. You will have to know. Usually, people like to test their what they have, and they will line breed first, and then depending on what they see there, they will have to say, wait a minute, maybe this particular bloodline or this particular breed or animal was already line bred or inbred and I didn't know, and now I will have to buy something or start working with something that I will have to outcross, and then I'm particularly a little bit hesitant there because I'm buying something that I don't really know yet. I haven't produced from it yet, and I'm already seeing problems when I'm line breeding. I will have to go and outcross to something that I also maybe not be too familiar with, and
Mm.
then it's gonna it is then a game of guessing, just throwing wet rags at a wall to see what sticks. And I don't like that. I really don't like that. And then again, when we speak without crossing, I want individuals to know that it's as important as line reading, because to keep what you have in a certain way, you will have to outcross. Because at a certain point, animals will start losing their quality, but you will still be trying to get the traits that you want. And at the point that you decide to open, right, it is to also maintain health and also be able to maintain a certain line. Because if not, you
You're muted. You're muted.
a good breeder on animals was especially on birds is Miguel Rivera, and Miguel Rivera told me that, hey, if you ever want to maintain something, you're gonna have to open up. there's no way in the world that we live that you will not have to outcross. And at that point, that's when you really know who knows their line and who really is a breeder. Because
Mhm.
if you know when the time comes that you're losing the quality of the animal, health issues, and all these sorts of things, you will know who is who when that point comes.
Interesting. So, who do you, I guess, who have you seen? Because we know, like you said, a lot of breeding is, done by chance. It's especially with this breed, it's very hard to predict sometimes what's going to happen. So, um, when you're breeding, I guess from what we've seen, because my philosophy is that I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I like to
Uh-huh.
take combinations that I've seen that has already proven to work. So, which programs or which breeders have you seen that have been line breeding for a long time and they've outcrossed to certain strains of other bloodlines? What examples can you give us?
I have seen Marco Suarez have done several different generations with his blood, and recently has opened to other bloods. And you see, not only that, you see him going back to his same to his blood again and obtaining the good results. Recently, he had a breeding from, I believe, was Lioness with Ali, and then I think the new puppy he has right now posting in his page, also a blue champagne dog. It's a good example of how you work with your things. But I mean, I will also bring an example because I know that not, when I talk about all breeders and stuff, not a lot of people know about these things. I will bring an example like for that I talked recently. It was Tony Gold. Again, I'm going to use his example because some when you see that he's line breeding, and then outcrossing for that bada bing breeding. And I also talked to Anthony Gray. Anthony Gray is at the point that he did outcross at the beginning, not outcross. He started putting his specific stud to different females, and then he started line breeding in different ways. He is at a point now that he is going to outcross, and he's going to outcross the same as what Tony did, and the same as the breeders that I have seen. And not only in this breed, I will have to go and globalize as at the dogs in general. When they have outcross, you see that they are bringing a male that is also a line bred, that is
Mm,
also line bred from another
hmm
side,
hmm
because that's how it's supposed to be done. And mind you, the funny thing is that neither Anthony Gray or Tony Gold and myself, we are going for different things in the American Bully. To me, what they are doing is not what I want to do, especially when we're talking about phenotype, when we're talking the specifics on a dog, and I do health tests a lot and a lot of other things, but this is when a mature conversation happens between individuals that are doing completely different things, and they are able to benefit from that type of conversation. When they talk about, this is what I have done, this is this, showing each other the pictures, the pedigrees, and right now, just from something that I will not do, it's been possibly the most knowledge that I have gained from the theories of line breeding, outcrossing, from people that I would never would have imagined. I knew that
hmm
they were doing their things, but I would not imagine the level of conversation that we were having, and where were they on their programs that they were able to show me we are outcrossing now, and we opened up, and this is what we've been receiving in regards to did bone increase or did it decrease? Did I see something bad happen? Am I good or not good, happy or not happy with my product? Where am I going next with it? Am I going back to my line? Am I going back to the line that I outcrossed to? Right? Because at a certain point in time, when you do outcross, is something called a hybrid vigor. Hybrid vigor also was discussed with Master Breeder Miguel Rivera. Is something that you will see in a lot of outcrosses. But then again, it is as the term specifies. I'm getting the vigor and the good traits and all these things that I like from my dog because of the outcross. Now, would that individual be able to give me what I see? You have seen it again in some cattle, and they will sell that bull because they know that that bull is unpredictable what he's going to give, but the way that he looks is very pleasing to the eye. So they know that they could get a lot of money for this specific animal, but they know that they are not close to getting to where they want. So this animal basically is good to make money, not good to breed, because you will get like Skittles or Rainbow. Because if you don't know what you're doing, and that outcross is not as good as a program that what you had, is you're gonna have a litter of, for example, I'm looking for this outcross to get this neck and get this head or whatever it is. I'm gonna get possibly one or two puppies with that specific trait if I don't know what I'm doing. And now they would not be able, they probably will produce what I don't want them to produce. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So it is also very important to know that the traits that I'm going to outcross to are dominant traits so that I will see them in the puppies in that litter. And I know that I will get them into my program as I supposedly intended to do. So to answer your question, I don't think that anybody in the entire world is at that point. I could mention Marco Suarez. I could mention Tony Gold. Tony just went to a different avenue and he's outcrossing now. Let's see what those sons and daughters from that outcross are going to be, you know, showing. I know that also I did a video with this with, oh my God, with Asher, King Asher and his family. And I know that King Asher and a couple of them are line bred dogs. Now I'm willing to see what's happening with this females that dog went into. Another good dog is Remus that I would love to see him be bred to open up to new things, to see what, because when a dog is tight, Noah, when a dog is tight and you open it to the right thing, he's going to outproduce himself. He's going to outproduce himself. So already seeing dogs like King Asher, like him, exhibiting great traits right now. They are both cleared on their genetic tests. They are. I have no doubt that they're gonna pass the OFA. So I got a dog that is line bred, a dog that is looking pretty good right now, almost to the point that I would like to determine. Okay, this is a great example to the breed, and they're line bred, and they're going to be opening up to different females. At this point, I'm very excited because all the wickets have been hit one after the other. And I want to see what is the capability of these dogs when they are opening to other females. And then, of course, we will have to see if we are breeders looking, to strive in this what is called breeding. You will have to also test what comes out of there and check how that does being outcrossed again, how that does, how that offspring does being line bred to the new thing that you just brought into your kennel, and how does it do by being line bred to what I already have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you properly test what you have done, right? If not, again, I will keep on jumping and I will create what we have in the community now, a bunch of dogs that have different traits and they don't even produce a lot of the traits that you see in them because they were never bred for that purpose. They were never
Mhm.
bred for that purpose. So yeah, I took a little longer in your answer, but I wanted to explain why I'm mentioning Anthony Gray, why I'm mentioning like Remus, why I'm mentioning Asher, and I talk about them. Why am I mentioning Tony Gold again, and why am I mentioning um, uh, Marco Suarez?
Mhm. No, and it totally made sense, you know. Like you said, when you're picking a dog to outcross to, you have to really know, I guess, I guess research as much as you can what that dog has done with certain lines or what that dog is even capable of when being put to certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know
Yes.
and earlier you said that there's no correct way. Because I was thinking like when I got my dogs, okay, I have Rock and Ruby here, Rock and Ruby there, and then I got something else with Rock and Ruby further in the back, and I'm like, oh man, um, is it gonna be too tight? I
Yeah.
need to get something to outcross, but I still didn't even really do a breeding yet. I was just so afraid when I realized when I look back in the pit how much Rock and Ruby I had. But um, but I did do the breeding. I did like some of the results. So it's just about going back to the drawing board. But because remember I talked to you about it, like how would I outcross and try to figure out. But at the same time, I haven't been working with the blood that I have for an extensive period of time. So I would
Uh
have to
huh.
ask
Yeah.
the breeder who I bought them from, who's been using them for a long time, what he's seen work with with his dogs and what he's outcrossed to, because he also has been breeding for a while at fully loaded projects in Virginia. You know, so I like the point that you actually mentioned that. So I know you said that you were looking at Remus and Asher. Now, both of them don't have a lot of productions right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so if you let's as a hypothetical question, how would you integrate that for Outcross to what you have or what you would be working with?
Um. Well, right now, I have seen a lot of Asher's cousins. I'm talking about his mother, his father, what the brothers and sisters of both look like, how his grandmother on the mother side has been the one that I've been looking at how she was bred to different lines, specifically Rock and Ruby, Excalibur. Uh, but when I say Excalibur, is I would say more like Blue Pride blood. And again, when I say blood, it's not that I believe that this bloods are bloodlines. I'm just to familiarize people with what I'm talking about. So it
Hmm.
was bred to Blue Pride, was the mix of Die Hard Chief with Excalibur, and that passed down to Kino Arroyo, and Kino Arroyo uh, bred it a certain way that make Nikki Jam, and so she was bred to Nikki Jam. She was bred to Rock and Ruby, and she was bred to Rock and Ruby mixed with some old age, which makes it different just by that. So uh, I looked at him, and right now, if I were to outcross him, I have to go to see what are the lines that mix. And Rock and Ruby with Excalibur have a history by a dog named Exhibit. Exhibit. So I will go and use, for example, Asher with heavy Blue Pride blood, or if I could get some Little Reese Tonka stuff, I would do that. and I know that for those two lines, I could either go in either way, and I will tighten up to see which one of them is better. But let's say that I produce good dogs from action, from two different females, one with the blood of Blue Pride, one with the blood of Rock and Ruby. I have to also, Max, no, I will have to also uh, see what had mixed with those bloods before. And we have great examples of Rock and Ruby with Remy, Rock and Ruby with Excalibur, Excalibur mixes with Diego Ding. And what else? We have, uh, what else do we have that we can look at? And basically, all this, as you can see, I'm talking about Razor's Edge bloods, right?
Uh-huh.
So Excalibur and Diego Ding did some pretty good, decent But here's the thing: I'm mentioning this, and I can mention you maybe four or five dogs that have attained a look that I would call wow. That's a look right there, right? That's a look right there. But then again, you get how can you expect to have a whole litter from these dogs that look like they do? They don't have that because that was never pre-planned from the breeders. But let's say that I get either one of these three bloods there, and I get sons from Asher with two or oh, I forgot some of the I have seen recently Denzel blood mixing with Paco blood. Very good with a Nemesis blood, which is Heartbreaker specifically. And those results either with them and also with Rock and Ruby, I have seen how Robert Lee's dogs mix with all of them. So
Mm-hmm.
I have seen good examples. I'm not saying that these bloods are always giving you the right dog. You will have to choose the right dog from them to mix together. But let's say
Mm-hmm.
that I have chosen from these different lines and I have used Asher as my stud for the books. So I will breed him to these two different females, and then I will have to look if I will do a half brother, half sister breeding on him, and then I will see at that point him as a double grandfather of that offspring. Also, when I get there, I can go back to the uncle or aunt from each side to see how it go back to a generation. They are also sons and daughters of Asher, but then I will not just go straight back to Asher. I could make the double grandfather back to the offspring, but I could also choose the best because if let's say if I chose the best male from this side and the best female from this side to go together and I mix them and now I have a litter of half brothers and half sisters, I could take them back to the contrary, because if I use the best male here, now I could take one of these puppies to the best female of that litter, which
Mm-hmm.
is their aunt. And then I could take one of these puppies to the best uncle of this litter if I use the female from that litter. Not going just straight to Asher, which is recommended, right? That is
Mm-hmm.
very tight line breeding. Now, while I'm here and looking at the offspring here that have brothers and have sisters, and their sons and daughters going back to their uncles and aunts, I will have a dog like Remus, which is heavy line bred, prepared to go to a lot of these females here to see
Mm.
how he performs on different levels of outcrosses. And then I will have several different offsprings from Remus with double half brothers and half sisters with Asher,
Choose.
with three times Asher, with three times Asher, with two times Asher, with just our first time Asher just to see how it would have gone. But I
Mm-hmm.
chose these two dogs. Now I'm testing him. How would he look And what if the puppies look from him with different levels of line breeding and action? And then I will pick the best individuals. Now I did the outcross. I will pick the best individuals with the traits that I was supposedly looking in the beginning to get from this dog, and will put them together.
Hmm.
I will put them together again. There's a
So,
good, this, before I forget, there's a good example of this. Is called the Felch table, and it's a good example, and it's used with cattle, it's used with birds, it could be used with dogs as well. A lot of people have used it with dogs, and it will guide you from generation 1 all the way to generation 18 of how to properly do the crosses between this. You
mm,
can search it in YouTube, and it's going to be speaking about birds, most of them. But I mean, people have used it with dogs as well. But mostly, this table is to create a breed when you have two individuals coming in together from totally different purebred individuals, right? They use it a lot with birds. But at the time that you're reaching out that 18th generation, which is not exactly done from top to bottom. They go here, and then they go back over here, and then this one's
mhm,
go here, and then they go back together. But at the time that you reach the limit at the end with this mega outcross that you did and you started line breeding, these individuals you got to be paying attention because they possibly are going to have some issues, probably
mm,
reproductive issues. If you didn't, I mean, sometimes it just happens again because you don't know what line are you working with. But if you are doing this here, right, you should be doing the same thing with probably Asher's sister or whoever it is, with a whole different dog in the other side. And you using that same litter like Asher or his sister, Weemus of his sister, Bada Bing or her sister, all these things. You will be using those two. I will pick Asher and his sister, and I'm working, but now his sister is going with another dog that is not Weemus, but that usually would have the traits that I want to get as well. And at the end of the way, you're getting stuck down here at the end of the tunnel. And now, okay, now I will put this from these two tables, those individuals together. And this sounds like a lot of work, but
yeah.
if you do it properly, you're doing two dogs at the same time from top to bottom, and you might be able to do it in 5, 6, 7 years if you know what you're doing. Starting from an age with 2 years old from both sides, so that you have cleared from. This is very, very, very specific, very
Yeah.
demanding, and because I'm talking about to the level of I want to possibly separate myself from the breed, let's say for the American Bully, and I want to do these things, and I want to make sure that when I present myself to the AKC or the UKC, they are able to recognize my research and my work because of what I did. This is established to type of breeding is to establish bloodlines, to establish breeds sometimes.
Hmm.
And that's how I would do it. I would test at every level that I'm opening, and I would test. I will always start with line breeding to know what I have, and then I will start introducing something new. But what I will introduce there, I better know what I'm doing. I better see a lot of his ancestors and what he has produced, or his sister, or anybody of the siblings. I will look at all that before I even jump the gun because I want to manipulate as much as possible, at least 50% of the chances of getting what I want. Because if I not, even if I get something by surprise, I will not be able to get it again. I will not be able to
Okay.
get it again.
Well, we have 10 minutes left, but I want to say thank you for that because even what he just said about the Felch table, I'm definitely gonna look that up. It's so interesting to me because as you were describing the generations, I was thinking, man, that is so tight. Where you know, like you said, it's so specific. and very tedious and takes a lot of diligence to do it correctly. And I would like to see more people do it because I tried to follow some of Tony Gold's stuff, but it's a lot um, because he has several generations. But everything you said, made sense. And we know it's just a matter of time with seeing more breeders attempt that. You know?
It would be nice because right now our stock is running low.
Yeah,
Is
I
running
think
low
yeah, it
with
feels that
the
way.
people that are not doing right breeding. So when I'm looking for studs to use or to get into my program, I I almost can't find nobody to outcross to, and that is a specific point. Like for example, I don't like. I'm trying in all my conversations to not bash anybody, but when you look at these dogs that I have been lately chosen as champions or grand champions, best in shows, those dogs are flukes. Those dogs look like that, but they are not going to produce like that.
Hmm.
They don't have females. Even though, not to mention all the health issues, that I will not use a dog like that. Because at a point in time, if I have a vision, if I have a goal that I'm going to get to, it must be realistic. And at a point in time, I might not get to a goal, and I will have to sacrifice that vision that I have with a dog to what it is possible to make. But you aim high, very high, and then instead of getting here, you might get here.
Yeah, yeah,
But that dog, I'm able to reproduce every time that I want. I will see that dog in every litter, you know,
yeah.
and mostly 50% of my litter is looking like this. So I will have to work with that instead of working with this fluke here
Hmm.
that is going to bring me a lot of issues, and it's almost impossible to reproduce
Yeah,
because I don't have
it's
the
just an anomaly to the litter.
yes, and I don't have the females to. I mean, it will take a lot of time, and there's no guarantee to do so. And then why? Why would I go to that extent if I can have the same BMW but just without the 24-inch rims?
Yeah,
You
that's a
know,
good way to put it.
why would I want? Then I will have to evaluate, why do I want 24-inch rims in the first place? What is that doing for me? What is that doing for me that I am desperately seeking to do that? Am I seeking validation? Am I am I seeking the money? What are you doing? What are you doing as a person or as a breeder that you're looking to specifically try to procreate this dog? Are you just playing with nature to see how far can you go? That's not breeding professionally, in my
Hmm.
opinion, obviously, my opinion.
Okay. Okay. Well, I just want to take this time out to thank Wes for coming again. And this will not be our last video. The next time that you see us together, I wanted him to share about the dominant and recessive traits um, that he's come across through his research and working with certain groups that I think everyone needs to hear. So we just want to say thank you again, Wes, for coming. We appreciate you, and we look forward to spending more time with you in the future.
All right, brother. God bless you, and be safe.
All right, man. You too. You take care.
All right, brother.
All right.